Hello there, listeners. It's Maria-Eliza Radu, your host of A Flair for VIP Events, here with an episode in the Iconic Events Series, where we explore the world of truly unforgettable, bold, and iconic events and the people who bring them to life. Super excited to have Maria Radu on today's episode. Maria moved from Romania to the UK when she was 18 to study and pursue a career in events. She worked in a full-time job at the University of Huddersfield and after graduation fell into freelancing without knowing much about it or knowing exactly what she wanted to do. She worked roles such as stage manager, production assistant, area manager, artist liaison, and every time she had a new job, she discovered a new role. She gained new responsibilities and unlocked new skills. Her objectives are to specialize in artist liaison, production, operation, and logistics, and hopefully starting to work more projects abroad. At the moment, she's planning the summer season, booking a few festivals, and seeing what the summer has got in the bag for her. And since she was in primary school, she said she's been talking about owning a hotel one day. So her plan is to have one later in her 40s. So I can't wait to see how Maria's event career plays out. In this episode, we're diving into the Marvels of Saudi Orchestra, an iconic event that Maria worked on that has unlocked new opportunities for her and took her abroad as an event freelancer as well. And we talk about what it's like being in the early stages of her career, the events she's worked on, the roles that she's had, and the things that she's learned along the way. It's a really exciting conversation, and I can't wait to get Maria on the episode. Welcome to the Iconic Events Series, a special segment of A Flair for VIP Events. I'm Maria-Eliza Radu, and in this series, I sit down with event professionals from rising talent to industry leaders who've worked behind the scenes at some of the world's most iconic events, like global sporting events and red carpet premieres. You'll hear firsthand what it's like to work at these events, the career moves that got them there, and the insider lessons you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're just starting out or leveling up your event career, this series will help you step into your iconic events era. Okay, welcome Maria to the Iconic Events Series. So happy to have you on my podcast and excited about what we're talking about today. And I would love if you could introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, tell listeners about you in whatever detail you would like.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It was very nice that you decided to have me on this podcast. I've been following the series, so I think it's really cool that I got to be in one of these. So I'm Maria. I come from Romania. I moved here 6 years ago. I used to study up north in Huddersfield. It served me really well. It was, such a nice way to adapt to the UK and all the values. So I studied events management, and it was a little dream of mine. It was something that I wanted to do since I was really young and everything. So yeah, after I graduated, I started to work for a theatre company, freelancing. I didn't really understand the concept of freelancing. It was such a new concept to me. And when I started to work with the team that were also freelancers, everyone was saying, yeah, well, if you started in this way, you are just going to continue like that. So it was true. So now it's been probably a year and a half since I started to freelance in a very serious way. So yeah, that is me. And I think it's been great. It's been really challenging. It took me a while to understand how things work and how the industry is like, but I think it's just been great. Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I followed your journey because we met when you were still working at the theater, and since then you've worked at a lot of events. And I'd say you're the most active person I know on LinkedIn when it comes to like finding opportunities, connecting with people. And I always watch you. I'm like, oh, there she goes. She's getting an event job or making a new connection. It's been really great to see because a lot of people become freelance after they've been a full-time employee, which was similar to my case. And freelance is certainly hard, but in in your case, I think that you've gotten to explore a lot of different kinds of events and a lot of event jobs. And I think it's really cool. And
For
I know
sure.
you have one special event that you would love to talk about first, the
Yeah.
Marvels of Saudi Orchestra. Tell me about that event.
Well, it happened. It happened in a very. I don't even know how to call it, like to find a very appropriate word for it. But I think it's been such a good window for me to break through the side of industry I really wanted to work for. I really wanted to be artist liaison because I knew so many people that were doing that, and because I've never done it, but I was seeing everything from outside, it looked so cool, and it is really cool. It's such a good job to do. um, so I've just been contacted by someone, and that person was like, "Well, I've seen this is something you want to do. Would you like to do that? Because we are going to have a show in London, and there is this orchestra from Saudi, and yeah, this is the website. So if you're interested, just let us know, and we can book you in." And I was like, "I don't think I genuinely believe that is not true." I was just like, I think this person is trying to mess up with me because it was too good to be true. So yeah, I went there for a meeting and to see the venue. It was at the St. Paul's Cathedral. It's a really iconic place to have
Yeah.
an orchestra concert, and everyone. It was like 10 p.m. in the evening, and people were still there doing setups and kind of adapting the place to the whole number of the orchestra and choir and dancers, which was like on average probably 200 people. So it looked really, really grandiose. It was great. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's happening. So I just started to work with them, and I think it was such a great way to just be introduced to the artist liaison side of events and to see that it is really cool, but it's also very challenging, especially when you are overseeing such a high number of people. And of course, I got the chance to be in great teams because we worked in London and Tokyo with them. And every time I had the opportunity to really work with very talented people who knew how to do it, and they're very experienced, more experienced than I am. So it was great. It was like really in my advantage because I got to see how they work, like, and kind of steal a bit of like, trips and takes and hints. And yeah, it's been great. It was a really, really, really good experience. And of course, I'm looking forward to work with them again because they have multiple locations booked, but it's also a surprise even for me. So yeah.
That's amazing. And I know artist liaison's a really big job that you can do in the events industry, like concerts, live shows, festivals.
Yeah.
What, in your experience, what does an artist liaison do? If someone's listening to this and they don't know what that is, how would you explain it?
So I think artist liaison starts from different levels. So there are people who are doing artist liaison management, which I've never done, but I would love to. And it starts with advancing work. So these people are doing the magic of being in touch with the artist managers, and they are being sent riders lists, and they deal with operations, with artist operations, whereas as just artist liaison, you are just there on site. Eventually, you get a little bit of training and an introduction of who the artists are, who are the managers, their expectations. You deal with everything in terms of dressing room setup. You make sure that they have everything. But really, you are in touch with the managers, less with the artist. When we worked for the Saudi Orchestra, we had a little bit of everything, not the advancing work, but we were there for rehearsals. We got the chance to kind of build a relationship with the orchestra and with the choir members, which is really important because you understand how they work like, and it's really about them. So it's really good to understand their expectations before getting to the show and being absolutely like your mind is just blowing up because you don't know what is going on. So yeah, it really depends from job to job, from festival to festival, how that business operates. But I'd say it's quite complex because you work for people and you have to fulfill usually very high expectations. So this is it really about. Yeah, if you have any specific questions about that.
Yeah, that's like super clear. So I love that. I think it's a really good it's a kind of job that you can grow in. You can enter it and you can grow. As you said, there's like the liaison and then the management. So when you did that at the Saudi for the Saudi orchestra, what was your favorite part about working with them or that event or that job? What's your favorite thing if somebody asks you?
I think it's definitely the probably the cultural gap. Uh, because I was trying to see how they want everything to be, and they have such a special way of doing things, in from their traditions. Because the aim of their shows around the world is really about sharing their culture with the whole world. So when they came to London, they had the collaboration with the Orchestra of London. When we went to Tokyo, there was the Tokyo Orchestra, and I think there is this combination of cultures, and you see how well they match, no matter what the differences are, and how they work together so well. So I think them trying to adapt to every single country where they go and kind of create like a very tailored experience. I think this is amazing. And when you spend 8 days over there with them, you just get to know some members, you build relationships, you speak, you have all this exchange of experiences, because they are really well-traveled people, and they've seen so many places, and they've seen events. And I think this is the people are really the greatest part. And well, of course, another very nice part is the fact that you get to travel and you get to see all these places, and you see how things are being done in every country. So when we went to Tokyo, it was absolutely amazing to see how hardworking people are, and that they have a system for every single thing, and how efficient things are, and the fact that we had like a hotel lobby for these rehearsals. It was absolutely immense. And then within 30 minutes after the rehearsals, before moving to the venue for the show, within 30 minutes, all the chairs, all the instruments, everything, all the tech, within 30 minutes, it was like just cleared off. So it was just like a blink, and they just managed to do that. So yeah, it's really seeing how people operate in events in different countries.
That's really nice. It makes me want to go see the orchestra myself as a,
Really
yeah,
recommend.
like a person who has a ticket. This sounds nice. I love that. It's kind of like it is a tour, I guess, but on a smaller level. Because I've had someone on this series who used to work in music tours, and you're constantly traveling, like 3 4 months at one time. So this one sounds really nice. That it's a few a year. Is that right? Or is it one per year that you do it?
I think there are a few a year, but it's because it was just the second show I've done with them. Everything comes last minute. So it really depends. So I can't tell if there is going to be another show next year or in the next few months. So
Nice.
yeah.
Is it the same people you work with, or sometimes the same people?
Well, within Artist Liaison, sometimes the team members change, but I think we'll start to be like constant and have like relatively the same people now that we understand how everything works. Like, I think it makes more sense for everyone to be the same.
Mhm.
But again, this is the interesting aspect of working in events, when you keep changing the team and you see different working styles and different approaches, and then it's nice to see that everyone comes with like their elements and with new things, and you're just trying to see that you can adapt and you can be flexible, and it's great. It's just great. I think this is another part of this event industry I really like, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many events you've done before or how experienced you are. Every time you get to be on site and you meet new people, there is still something for you to learn always, I guess.
Definitely.
And this is something I've heard, but I'm also experiencing it because there are so many people much more experienced than I am. I'm just at the very beginning of it, but I'm sharing the same opinion with them. So I think I understand maybe a 20% from what they say, but I believe them.
That's a really good point. And I do like it when there's new people coming on the team, but you also have some people who are always on the team, and it feels
Yeah,
like a family. It's
it
really
does. Yeah,
nice.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
and in addition to the Marvels of Saudi Orchestra events, you've done a lot of other events. I think across a lot of different event sectors. You've done, is it Formula One,
I
music
did. Yeah.
festivals, tennis. Um, what in the last year? What kind of events have you worked on? Because I'd love like listeners to say that you can work on a variety of different kinds of events, and even at like you said you're at the beginning of your career. You can do that at the beginning of your career. What have you worked on in the last year and a half?
Yeah. Okay. As I just want to start with a mention that the past year was just like every single project that I worked was like a very nice surprise because I didn't plan anything. I didn't have any strategy.
Mhm.
And honestly speaking, I think I should have had one. But when you start doing something, but you don't have too many mentors or you don't know who to ask for help. And of course I had a lot of people around. Like I had you who guided me here and then. I had my partner, I had friends who work in events. But I think it's really important to kind of have someone to be like to teach you a lot of
Mhm.
things. I think this is really important, which I have now. But yeah, so getting back to your question, I did get the opportunity to work on a few events in the past year. And I think, as I said, very nice surprises. All of them came with a lot of challenges, and I'm really grateful that I was in the position of facing them because I understood what I want to do, what I like, what I don't like. So yeah. So basically, exactly a year ago, I did TCS London Marathon Running Show, in for the accreditation team. That was with an agency, and I think it was such a great way of getting into it because I was planning to move to London that summer. So I was doing a lot of commuting between Huddersfield and London, and I came down to London to work for this marathon. And I just met so many people, and I got the chance to just talk to freelancers and see what they do, how they do their schedules, how they do their calendars, what's the plan for the next year, what else do they know? And I was just asking so many questions, everyone. And we were there for 4 days. And it was great because we were all mixing up. So I think that was the start, and then I just kept applying for different little events and different projects. And I think the next was I worked for Comic Con. It was a collaboration with the brand. Then I worked for Royal Ascot, which was amazing but overwhelming at the same time because it's such a large scale event, and it's that's pure tradition. And I think it was something I didn't expect because obviously before that I went on site to meet the team, to be trained, to understand what I'm gonna be doing there. But then you go on the very first day of event and you're just saying what you signed up for. And I think, yeah, it's definitely something that as freelancer you need to learn, and you need to get to be used to it. Because sometimes you are just being thrown in the job. You're just like, there's no training for you. You're on site and you need to start working, even if you don't really understand, and it's just absolutely overwhelming. So I think that was a very good exercise for me. Yeah, and then throughout the summer, I was quite privileged, and I had like a very good calendar, and I got to work for the Hampton Court Garden Market after Royal Ascot. Then I did a couple of small events with agencies, and then I just stopped for a bit because I didn't know in which way I should go. But yeah, I think these are the highlights, and if I miss anything, give me a heads up. Really.
You've done a lot. It's been really impressive. And I do see that you're really active on LinkedIn. And I think that when you're a freelancer, there's a couple ways to go about getting work. One is being active anytime someone mentions that they're hiring or something, is, being active on LinkedIn to find those opportunities. And the other, like you mentioned, which I'm glad you did, is talking to other freelancers. Because one thing I always ask when I'm working at an event, I will ask every single person, how did you get this job? And maybe it's a weird question, but I'm always curious, and everyone gets it in a different way. How do
Yeah.
you typically get your jobs? Are they like word of mouth? Are you reaching out to people? Is it a mixture?
Yeah, totally. I think it's a little bit of everything, 100%. Because the industry, well, I'm gonna say it. I think this is the bitter truth is that we're not we're not part of the most transparent industry.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it cannot be a good thing. So obviously, I do a little bit of. I'm applying for jobs, so I do a lot of writing letters and CVs, and I think I have probably 10 different versions of my CV depending on which kind
Mhm.
of job I'm applying for. But what I noticed, it's about who you know and how much you are out there and how much you are willing to network with people,
Mhm.
because the more you socialize and the more you ask questions, it's the likelihood of getting jobs and opportunities and people knowing you is higher. So then, yeah, I think I discovered this little secret, that there are always opportunities. You just need to be out there and see them. I think that's really, it's going to become the basic in the industry if it's not already. This is something that I'm
Mhm.
discovering, and it's just more and more intense. So when on my days off, those days are really for writing emails or reaching out, or anything that could say to people, hey, I'm here and I'm available, and I do believe in myself that I have skills, and I would like, to show you and eventually have like a little collaboration, if possible. So I think it's just important to let people know that you are there and you are willing to, work for their event.
Yeah, and I think you've done really well. Especially networking. I know, like, sometimes the farther you get in your career, what I have found is that my network's getting a bit smaller because like we've talked about this before, you start working at less events, and so I think that if you can start networking quite early in your career, which is great, and you've had people mentor you and guide you and give you advice, then you can keep it up like a habit, which is really good because everybody's journey into the event industry is a little bit different, and networking is not something I did when I entered the industry, and probably my biggest regret, because it becomes it it almost becomes intimidating when you've never done it very much and you've done it a lot. So great job. I think it's absolutely amazing. And you gain a lot of skills when you network and when you work on a lot of different kinds of events and a lot of different kinds of roles. What would you say are some of the best and most important and helpful skills you've learned at, whether it's the big iconic events where you're working at them for longer periods, or maybe the ones where you just go for a day or two? What skills have you picked up?
I think because I used to be quite an introvert, slightly timid, I started enjoying just talking to people and be out there. So sometimes I work jobs and I meet new people, and I think I've learned how to show like interest in what they do. Before I was interested as well, I was just like very shy to ask questions. Probably I was like, is the fear of like I don't want them to think that I am too much. But now I've learned that here is quite appreciated. So it was probably a mix of being timid and maybe a slightly cultural shock. But yeah, I think learning to talk to people, it's like a very good skill to have in events, because you'll always have to network, and especially, if you work in artist liaison or anywhere really, in any kind of role, any kind of event, you'll have to share a compound or an office or anything with people, and you just have to socialize and socially adapt, because this is the industry.
Mhm.
I think that's the first skill I've learned. Very important for me. Very grateful I discovered that. Of course, I've seen a lot of examples of people with a lot of experience, and again, it's good to look up at other people and just take good examples and good practices, and the negatives too. It's good to see them, acknowledge them, and be like, this is something I don't want to be like, or I wouldn't do that for myself. And then I think probably not comparing myself too much with my fellow fellow freelancers, because as you said, um, our journeys are so different. First of all, is like the background, because we are in London, we are in England. There are so many backgrounds, so many cultures, so many people coming from all over the world, to kind of fulfill their little dream. And then, some people maybe have families working in the industry. Some people just, met someone over a drink, and that person just introduced them to the events industry, and then here we are, we have like a very successful career, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think journeys are different, and I think if I am meant to be here, then I am here. I should be pleased with it. I've worked hard, and then it is what it is. Like going back in time, that's not possible. I can't do anything anymore. So, yeah, just learning from mistakes, seeing good and bad examples, and it's really learning from every event. You're doing mistakes, and you are also doing very good things. So I think what I do after events, I usually just write, this is why you didn't do so well. And of course, I'm beating myself up for everything, but it's good to just have them. And like, I'm taking notes. And if ever happens to be back on site for the same event, I know that I'm not going to repeat the same things. So it's really practicing a little bit and kind of doing brainstorming and taking time to detach from what happened on site. You take like a few days off, and then you are like, okay, maybe I should have done this spreadsheet in a different way, or maybe I should have been more like strong in making certain decisions, or maybe I should just be more vocal, and because this is something like it's maybe because there are so many men working in this industry. As a woman, sometimes you're a bit feeling intimidated to speak up and be like, this is my decision, this is my opinion, and I believe it's correct for these reasons. I think this is something I am still learning. So I'm focusing on being more like motivated and be like,
Mhm.
this is what I think. Yeah. So yeah, this kind of skills. Besides, the basics of
Yeah.
production or operations, or a
Yeah.
little bit of stage management or technical or learning programs. This is, I think, the skills that I have explained before are a bit more valuable to me than the very basics ones.
Yeah, those are really good. And when you were talking about talking to people and being social, it made me think that I work on some events and people call me the social secretary because I love to talk to people. I love to talk to people I'm working with or anything like that. It's a really good skill to have. And, I used to be really timid and shy, super timid and shy. So you can get through that with practice. And I love that you mentioned reflecting on what went well, what didn't go well, because, when you're an employee or maybe you're working on like a multiple month contract, and at the end as a team you'll sit down and talk about what went well, what didn't go well. But when you're just by yourself, it's something we forget. And so that's a really good thing that you pointed out, that we can write it down. And I have so many notes in my phone, and then the next year at the event I will like look up my note.
Yeah.
So it's like taking the note in the moment and then maybe waiting a few days and after the event and doing a bit more organized reflection. All those are such good things to do. So I think that, yeah, those are you. Let's say we talked about talking to people and reflecting, and I think that you've given some really good tips to people for anyone at whatever stage of their career. Super good. Well, okay, we've talked about a lot of different things, and including artist liaison. And I'm really curious, what other roles have you done? Because I think you've done a little bit of production. There's so many different things you can do in the event industry. What kind of roles have you done? What do you really like?
Okay. Um, so something I really, really loved, and I've never thought I would get in that position. I think it was like a mental barrier. I don't understand what was in my brain at that point. But when I started freelancing, I started to freelance for this theatre company. It was just amazing. It was such a good job to have after graduation. So I started as head of front of house. So it was really overseeing the customer service roles. It was very customer facing role, and I loved it. It was a health and safety center. It was like a theater. It was great. It was just like I loved it so much. I'm so excited every time I speak about it. And then yeah, I think I was just enjoying it so much, and everything, like all the tasks seemed like it was like really nice to just get tasks and do things, and like challenging my brain and do new things. So at some point I got offered to be trained as stage manager in case our current stage manager couldn't do it, or any issues. There were times I would cover them, or I would get trained, or just be in the center and see how they do things, doing a lot of shadowing, until to the point where I was one of the stage managers. So I started to do this role more permanently. And I think this is one of my favorite roles. And every time I see the opportunities on LinkedIn or to apply, I'm just applying, just because, being in the theater environment is it was something that I wish I were able to do more. In high school, I used to be part of this drama club. It was a very serious thing to be in, and I've been doing that for like nearly 5 years. And when I had to leave Romania, I left that too, and I really missed it. And now that I'm able to be back in theaters and be in touch with like actors, and it's great. It's like you're coming back to your little childhood dream.
Mhm.
So yeah, anytime. If you need a stage manager, I'll be here. um, then I did production, and this was I did for the tour for Young Voices in January and February. I did production, but definitely not to this level. It was such a big stretch for me, I have to admit. But I think I think Maria that started the tour and Maria that ended the tour, two different people. We can't compare them anymore.
Mhm.
I think it was a really, I don't know even how to call it, but I think it was so much to learn, and it was such a different environment from everything I've done before. I felt like I've never done events before. This is how I felt it. This is how different it was for me. But I think I managed to adapt relatively quickly. I don't know, because I'm still trying to reflect on that and kind of calculate how things went. And of course, I've done mistakes, loads, but at the same time, I think I did a lot of good things, and I had little achievements. My role was a dual role, so I did production during the day and artist liaison for the evening. So it was a plus for me because I got this opportunity to just learn and learn and learn, and adapt to different working styles, and see how other people do things in their own ways, but at the same time working very well in a team. So I did production, and I would really love to keep doing that. If I ever have the opportunity, I wouldn't skip it, because it's it's like mathematics. It's like anything. You have to keep practicing to just become better and better, and you have to do it like at a certain frequency. So you you're not losing this routine. You're not feeling like out of touch, like, oh, I'm on site and I suddenly don't know how to open the spreadsheets, or I don't know how to this and that. So I think, yeah, I think that was a very eye-opening experience. I think it definitely helped me to be a bit more mature in the way I work, and it improved my work ethic, and I've learned how precious the time is, and I think that was a big thing for me to learn. So yeah, yeah, and then I did a little bit of accreditation, a little bit of staff supervisor management. I worked as area manager for Hampton Court Garden Market. That was a big role. It felt a bit too big for me when I initially started. But again, it happened nearly a year ago, and I think it's a different Maria now. If I get the opportunity to be back at a similar kind of event, a similar role, I would have a completely different approach. I would, you know, I am a more mature person. I would like to believe that of myself, and I think I've developed the skills that I needed back then. But even if you land in a role that you're not very suitable for, or maybe you are not prepared for, I think it's still good to be there, because at least you are learning, and it's always in your advantage, always. And sometimes you just have like bad episodes, and you're convinced that there are times when you think maybe I'm not really made to be here, or maybe I shouldn't do that. But you do have to do it because you're there. Otherwise, I don't think that the opportunity would have come to you. So I'm just guided by this thing. Like, if I'm here, I'm here, and that's it. Full stop.
That's such a good point. As you were saying that, it reminded me there's some big jobs that I do, and sometimes I have to have more difficult conversations, which is not something that I want to do. I don't really want to be the like strict or like almost like the scary manager or something, but sometimes you have to because that's the job that you're in. So you can always rise to the occasion even when you think you can't. But that's exactly what I was thinking of as you were saying that. Well, you've done a lot. And I have to say about stage management, I did stage management one time for a big show, and everyone around me had worked in a theater before and I hadn't. And so I I I did a little bit of shadowing and volunteering in a theater after that because I realized actually this is really important for events. It's the same thing. It's just it's slightly different. A theater show versus a concert or it's just some kind of performance. It's even a conference, it's all the same thing. But super interesting that you worked in a theater and you really like stage management and you can carry those skills into the event industry. That's great. And okay, as we wrap up this episode, what are you most looking forward to the rest of this year?
So my definitely for the summer, because I think all the freelancers have been going through quite dry patches in the past, maybe 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite looking forward to be busy and to be out there. Last summer, I was doing a lot of running around and trying to catch trains and getting stuck and everything. And now, to be honest with you, I'm quite looking forward to that. Like I'm actively thinking of
Ready.
like I cannot wait to just be somewhere and to be in a rush and be busy and feel like I'm doing something. I did get the chance to travel a little bit after the tour, to spend time with my family and all the nice things that a free person can have. But now I do feel like it's time for work and to be back, to get my head in the game and everything else. So I'm really looking forward to really see what else is like sneaking in my calendar. And yeah, really, I can't wait to be on a field or on a nice site. It's just like, I think again everything is gonna be a nice surprise. So yeah, it's all exciting and I
Mhm.
can't wait. I cannot wait. Yeah.
I feel like only people in this country or Europe will understand what you mean by you can't wait to be in a field, but it is festival season, isn't it?
It is.
Oh,
It is
we
gonna
know
be
how to enjoy the outdoors living in this country in the summer. It's really
for
nice.
sure, because the summer is also much shorter than rest of the Europe.
Yeah.
So we just enjoy it now that we can. After that, we'll see where we are going to hide away.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it as well. Getting a little bit sweaty going to an event. I actually really love that in the summer. Well, I have loved talking to you, and I'm going to put your LinkedIn and any information to contact you in the episode notes so that people can reach out to you. And it's been so nice to talk to you, and I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with me about your experience at all of these amazing events. And I love following your journeys. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really nice to be around. I think I've been a bit nervous, a little bit. I felt
No,
myself.
you've done
Uh,
great.
but yeah, it was great. And I promise I'll keep up with the work. And yeah, looking forward to just keep you updated with everything I do and like, yeah.
Amazing. So thank you so much for coming on. And I'm going to wrap up this episode in the Iconic Events series. That's a wrap on this episode in the Iconic Events series, and a huge thanks to Maria for joining and talking about her experience at the Marvels of Saudi Orchestra and all the doors that it opened for her, and talking about what her event career journey has been like in the early stages of her career. If you loved today's episode, please leave a review, like, follow, and share it with other event pros who are dreaming of working at iconic events. And don't forget to connect with Maria. All of her details are in the show notes. And stay tuned because I've got more amazing guests lined up to talk about the world of iconic events. Remember to connect with me on Instagram at Laura Lloyd Events and A Flair for VIP Events, on YouTube at Laura Yarbrough Lloyd, and on LinkedIn, I'm the only Laura Yarbrough Lloyd. I'll see you next time when you undoubtedly will have a little bit more flair for VIP events and you're going to enter your iconic events era. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.